everybody. This is Keith Gleason, host of Indie Comics Relay and creator of the Mighty Mascots, here with another comic review. Before I get into that, just a reminder that Mighty Mascots 7, 8, and 9 is still available on Indiegogo. If you're still interested in backing, the link is below in the description of the video. We are currently finishing up the artwork on issue 8, and we're launching right into the artwork on issue 9. And the script is written for 9, and the thumbnails are already done, so we're going to go right into the artwork. So that'd be great. And if we get about 3,000, we're at like 7,500. If we make it to 10,000 before the campaign closes, we'll be getting everybody that backs on a physical level will get temporary tattoos. So that's really cool, exciting, So I'm looking forward to hopefully unlocking that for everybody, So, but all right, yeah. So check that out. The link is in the description below, and let's get on to our comic review. So I am reviewing Quick Stops #1. This is a comic by Dark Horse Comics set in the View Askew universe that Kevin Smith created in the films Clerks, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, stuff like that, Jay and Silent Bob. This first issue, the credits, this first issue is written by Kevin Smith. Art is by Jeremy Simser. I think that's how you say it. I always butcher names. Try not to. Letters by Andrew Thomas. So this is a 4-issue mini, from what I understand, and it's all stories set within Kevin Smith's View Askew universe. Which, if you've seen any of those films like Clerks 1, 2, and 3, Mallrats, Chasing Amy, all that stuff, Dogma, they're all set in the same universe, and characters kind of often are mentioned in other movies. It was kind of cool. Like, Kevin Smith was kind of like one of the first people to kind of do that, after Star Wars, but back in like the mid 90s, when before the MCU was a thing, Kevin Smith was kind of the first geek director that was kind of doing this kind of stuff. So it was great. But this story that he did is kind of tied into some of the newer projects that he's done. It ties in more recently to the Jay and Silent Bob reboot, which came out, I think, a year or two ago. There's a scene in it where we see Holden McNeil again from Chasing Amy. He's at a Comic-Con called Chronic Con, I think. And this story is him talking during the panel there, but also filling in some history there on how Bluntman and Chronic was created and things like that. So there's a lot of references to older stories and older moments in the View Askew universe. The artwork is actually very good. I've gotten all the Clerks comics from back in the day, and I love the early ones that Oni Press put out, with Jim Mahfood doing the art, who also, like, if you've seen the Clerks animated series, like, the artwork style was heavily inspired by Jim Mahfood's, like, thick lines and things like that. And I really love that artwork. Jeremy Simser is more like a more realistic, if that's the artist, it's a Ben Affleck, when you look at the image, and it's Jay, it's Silent Bob. It looks like Kevin Smith. It looks like all the characters from the movie, which is nice. The lettering is solid as ever. There's it's got a kind of stylized look to it. It's got sound effects. It looks good. There's nothing sloppy about it, which is good. Overall, it's okay. I I figured I'd pick up number one. I have such a soft spot for Kevin Smith, especially like because when Clerks came out, it was in the mid '90s when I was at college, and I loved what he was doing. I saw Clerks, and I was working at the theater, and I saw Mallrats, and then Chasing Amy had come out, and I loved how he tied everything together, and all the geek talk in his movies was great. And I actually remembered I drove down to Red Banks. This was right after Chasing Amy had come out, and I had drawn this comic book. I did like a 5-page Bluntman and Chronic story, that I drew on my own, and it was just that them fighting. I forget what it was. It's been so long. They go and try to save a party or something. I think that's what it was. But I drew it all up, because I was going to Joe Kubert at the time, and I drove down there, and it was kind of cool. I went to the Secret Stash, which is the comic book store that Kevin Smith owns. And at the time, Jay was actually working at the store, and I gave him a photocopy, and he loved, he thought it was great. And then I said, hey, is there any way I could get this to Kevin Smith? And he's like, yeah, you know what? His office is right down the street. And I'm like, are you serious? So like, I walked down the street, and I opened the door, and like, there he was. He was like, he was behind this desk. He was on the phone with somebody. And I just sat and waited. And then after he got off the phone, I gave him a copy of my comic, and he looked through it, and we just shot the shit for like 15 minutes, just about movies, and just, about like how much I enjoy his work and things like that. And it was a great moment. And it was kind of cool because like in the office, I recognized a lot of the people that were in Clerks and Mallrats, like Scott Mosier, who is his producer, was there. And one of the assistants was like a girl that had like a small part in Clerks and things like that. It was just a really cool, surreal experience that I never thought, I would ever get that close to like Kevin Smith. This was before he really took off. The movies were hits and he was popular, but they were still like kind of, I don't want to say they were underground, but they were, he wasn't, like he was approachable. You could still go to his office and things like that. And I think that changed after he made Dogma, and then after he made like Jay and Silent Bob Strike Back and things like that, he got bigger and bigger. But yeah, it was really cool. So I always have a soft spot for Kevin Smith. So that's why I love the View Askew Universe. I think the only problem with it is like as the last few years of the View Askew Universe movies, they're just not, the comedy isn't quite there like it used to be. And I think there's a lot of factors with that. Like, I think just the way the world is, like, you can't say anything anymore, and it kind of ruins comedy. But and maybe, I know Kevin had like a near death experience, and I felt like he's been kind of changed by that a little bit. And maybe he's just grown up. I mean, the humor isn't as juvenile as it used to be, or as shocking. And like, I often, when I talk about Kevin Smith, I kind of feel like he's kind of like the way Howard Stern is now. Howard Stern used to be so shocking and like so funny and like would say anything, and now he's kind of like known for just being a good interviewer now, and not as much of a shock. You don't hear the word shock jock as much anymore. I feel like that's sort of the same trajectory Kevin Smith had, like where the stuff, like the dialogue and the story itself is very solid. It's just, I don't laugh as much as with it anymore, if that makes sense. Like, so I read the first issue, and I liked it because I'm a fan of the View Askew stuff, but I didn't laugh all that much. So I guess, take from that what you will. There was a couple chuckles, but nothing crazy, nothing like, side splitting, like say like Clerks 2 or even Mallrats. Those early movies are still hilarious, they're so over the top and just, just so like, juvenile, like when you think of like 80s antics or something like that, so but so would I recommend this? I would recommend it if you are a fan of Kevin Smith and his View Askew Universe, because I feel like this is a chapter that puts a couple ideas together. If you're looking for like a like unbelievable comedy, you're not going to get this with this book. So um, I would say recommend yes if that's what you're, if you're there for the View Askew. If you're like me, you kind of have that soft spot, and you want to read more stories in this universe, I'd say check it out. Like I said, if you're just looking for comedy, it's not terribly funny. It's just I think that's the route, or as he's getting older, it's going that route. So the dialogue is still sharp, it's just not funny like it was. And I think there's, a couple reasons for that. So, all right. Well, that's it for this review, everybody. Check it out. I hope you enjoyed my side story here. As you know, on this channel, we go off into a lot of tangents. So, but yeah, definitely check it out. We are off this week. We're back on our bi-weekly schedule. So we'll be back with a live stream. I believe, let me see. Don't remember what the next date is. It's the 4th. I think the 14th is we're back. And we got Gingerton and Pedro Casiedo coming on. They were two great guys. I was on their show a couple months ago, promoted Mighty Mascots. So they're coming on to promote their show and their comics. So that's going to be fun. All right. So hopefully we'll see you there on the live stream. Please like, subscribe, share this video, and most importantly, read some comics. All right, everybody. Have a great week, and we will talk to you later. All right. Bye.